Have you ever looked at a world map and wondered why Russia is so massive? It stretches across 11 time zones, covers over 17 million square kilometers, and takes up more land than Pluto. But how did it get that big? Was it war, diplomacy, or just sheer luck? In today's video, we're diving into centuries of expansion, from czars to Soviets, to uncover the fascinating history behind Russia's enormous size. Let's explore how this giant came to be. The early Rus. Around the 9th century, Scandinavian traders known as the Varangians sailed down the rivers of Eastern Europe and established a state called Kievan Rus. It was the ancestor of what would become modern Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. But after a few centuries of power, the Mongols came knocking, and by the 1200s, Kievan Rus had collapsed under Mongol domination. Breaking free. Fast forward to the 1400s. As the Golden Horde crumbled, a small principality called Moscow began rising. Through marriage, war, and smart diplomacy, it gradually brought neighboring territories under its control. And once free from Mongol rule, Moscow set its sights eastward, into the great unknown of Siberia. Why Siberia? Now you might be wondering, why expand into a land that's basically frozen wilderness? 2 words, fur trade. At the time, fur was worth nearly as much as gold. So with the help of Cossack warriors, fearless fighters on horseback, Russia pushed past the Ural Mountains, reaching river after river, fort after fort. Most of the land was sparsely populated and easy to take. If local tribes resisted, Russia taxed or subdued them. If they didn't resist, even better. The Western Front. While Russia was moving east, it was also eyeing the west. Why? Because Europe was dangerous. Invasions could come through the wide, flat European plain, so Russia needed buffer zones. It fought wars with Poland, Sweden, and later the Ottoman Empire to secure those western borders. By the 18th century, Russia had gained land around the Baltic, Black Sea, and even reached Alaska. Yep, Alaska was Russian. But hold that thought. Expanding south and east. In the 1800s, Russia pushed into Central Asia, taking modern-day Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and more. Why? To grow cotton, access trade routes, and compete with the British in what was known as the Great Game. Meanwhile, far to the east, Russian fur trappers and settlers reached the Pacific, and even crossed into Alaska. But by the mid-1800s, Alaska wasn't profitable anymore. So in 1867, Russia sold it to the US for $7.2 million. That's about 2 cents an acre. Ouch. The peak of empire. By the early 1900s, the Russian Empire was gigantic, but deeply flawed. The government was autocratic, the economy was backward, and the people were angry. Then came World War I, and things got worse. Russia suffered brutal losses. A revolution followed. The Tsar was overthrown, and the Soviet Union was born. Soviet expansion. Under the USSR, Russia didn't just hold on to its empire, it expanded its influence. After World War II, it controlled Eastern Europe through puppet governments under the Warsaw Pact. This was the peak of Soviet power. But by 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. Russia lost 14 republics, from the Baltics to Central Asia. It was a massive territorial and political loss, and the new Russian Federation was left surrounded, exposed, and no longer a superpower. That's part of why, in recent years, Russia has taken aggressive actions, like annexing Crimea in 2014 and intervening in eastern Ukraine. It's not just about land, it's about influence, borders, and regaining control over what used to be part of its empire. And yet, despite the collapse, Russia remains, by far, the largest country on Earth. And as always, thanks for watching.